So you may or may not know about a foam roller or potentially a ball to basically do the self-myofascial release, which is going to be target trigger points in your muscles to then release the muscles so that you can static stretch it from the joints. So today we're going to be focusing on 3 muscle groups and also the extensor and flexors of the wrists. So essentially, first off, we're going to be targeting the bicep brachii. So it's here. So essentially this muscle there. Then we're going to focus on the brachialis, which is basically around here. And it's quite easy to kind of get into these areas and sort of still touching on other muscles, and that's fine. But the main focus should be always to really try and get the areas that feel quite tight. If you feel any tingling sensation or any numbness, then stop. You've probably hit a nerve, so that's probably not a good idea to continue that. But have a little feel for where it might be. Any kind of pain or soreness you might be feeling as a sensation in your elbow, but also doing the passive stretching for the extensors and the flexors will really help give longevity to your wrists. So we're going to crack on. Before we start though, I also want to mention that when you do foam rolling, it's quite important to find the area that's quite tight and just stay on that point. Don't roll around really quickly, too fast or anything like that. So it'd be nice and firm with the area that you want to target. And then once you get there, hold for 20 to 30 seconds. But you don't want any sort of really hefty movements. That's where a lot of people go wrong. So you kind of want to stay there and just maybe roll a little bit up and down, but not too much. You're just trying to get that area that's knotted. Now we're going to focus on the brachialis. So if we start on the brachii, which is your bicep here, we start here, and then rotate your arm slightly so that you can get in between your tricep and that bicep muscle basically. And you're just going to roll towards your forearm, and then once you feel a slight bit of tension, you can just hold that position again for 20 to 30 seconds. Now we're going to do the radialis. So to get into that position, again, we're going to start with the bicep, get into the bicep brachialis, and then go towards the forearm now. So we're going to go down towards your hand and try and target a bit just after the elbow with your arm completely rotated. And once you've found that area again, hold that position for 20 to 30 seconds. We're also going to go into this angle. So we're going to try and get in between the tricep and the bicep. So once you feel a bit of tightness there, you can hold that position again for 20 to 30 seconds. So for the bicep brachialis, you can also use a ball to really try and get into that area that's quite tight. So once you've found that area, then you can hold that position again for 20 to 30 seconds. The most important thing is to really try and get those knots. So if you prefer the ball, go for the ball. If you prefer the foam roller, go for the foam roller. But you can really just try and place where that tightness is and just hold different areas for 20 to 30 seconds. So down doing the radialis, for instance. You can go from there to the brachii and just focus on the bicep. And then from there you can go into the brachialis. So it's just really trying to get those areas where you feel tightness to relieve that tension. So your extensors might feel quite sore because that's what happens when you fall, right? You use your extensors. So we'll start with the flexors first. So we're going to passive stretch those at that area. So I'm just going to push slightly with my hand towards me, keep my shoulders depressed, and just hold that position for 45 seconds. Okay, now we're going to do the other side. And just make sure that once you've done one hand, do the same thing on the other side. Now we're going to static stretch each area that we just foam rolled. So we're going to start with the biceps. Then we're going to go into wrists. So static stretching the wrists, extensors and flexors. And then we're going to go into triceps. Stretching the triceps. Again, we're going to be doing that for each side. Okay, and now we're going to stretch out the top bit of your wrists. So we're just going to go like that, and we're going to static stretch that area for 45 seconds. And now we're just going to do the opposite side. So if you've really hurt your wrist a little bit, I would recommend just doing this side, because that side's probably quite sore now. But if you're okay, if your wrist's okay, they're fine. Yeah, I'd give them a nice stretch anyway. Now we're going to stretch out each side with our triceps. So with this exercise, we're going to keep our wrist neutral. This will enable us to target the bicep brachii, radialis and brachialis as well at the same time. So it's quite important. So we're going to tuck in our elbows, keep our feet symmetrical, facing forward, and then with a nice controlled tempo on the way down. So we're going to start with a 1 second going up and then 4 seconds going down. So 1 second going up, maybe a couple of seconds hold, and then slowly coming down. So it's a 4-2-1 tempo. So 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can do 10 to 15 repetitions, or as many reps as you feel comfortable. This should be quite a low intensity, so you're aiming at a rate of perceived exertion of between 4 to 6 maximum. So for this one, we're going to target our triceps, and we're going to keep our wrist neutral as well, because it just puts less stress on your elbow anyway. So we're going to keep our arms nice and straight, shoulders depressed, feet in lines, feet flat on the floor. And from this position, with my shoulders depressed, I'm going to slowly come down and then press up. So I'm going to come down nice and controlled and then press up. And again, you're going to do 10 to 15 reps with a rate of perceived exertion of between 4 to 6. So for this exercise, we're going to flex and extend our wrist in a pronated or supinated position. So what that's going to look like is you're going to bring your arm out, you're going to supinate, and then you're going to go up, and then slowly come down. If you're already feeling pain in your wrist, I would recommend not going all the way down, but going as high up as you can, and then going back to a neutral position. But if your wrists are fine, then yeah, increase that range and improve its strength with full range. And then once you've done 10 to 15 reps with a rate of perceived exertion of 4 to 6 max, you can swap sides. So let's just do the other side. So the main focus for this exercise is to pronate and supinate the wrist. So what I've used here is a weighted dumbbell just on one side so that you can really kind of control that weight going back and forth. You can use a resistance band if you want as well, but I've used a dumbbell because it will just be a lot easier. You can also use anything that's weighted on one side. So essentially we're going to go from here. I'm going to keep my arm nice and straight and I'm going to supinate my wrist all the way and then pronate. So the reason why I'm keeping my arm nice and straight is because if I flex my elbow, what will happen is I won't be able to pronate as much, but I'll be able to supinate because your bicep brachii basically helps with supination. So it's quite important for you to really keep your arms completely straight for this. And just nice and controlled from one arm, from one side, all the way to the next. Both sides really controlling the weight. And again, do 10 to 15 reps with a rate of perceived exertion between 4 to 6 max. And once you've done one side, swap over. So arms straight. You can even focus on your upper body posture a little bit so you're not slouching. And just going from one side to the next. And this is really, really, really going to help with your wrist strength for skateboarding. So for this exercise, we're going to need some dumbbells and preferably a ball. So you're going to get into a position where your feet are on the wall, your hips are just beneath the ball, you grab your dumbbells, you want to make sure that your chin is tucked so that your head's in line with your spine as well. You're flexing your elbows and extending them. From there you're going to twist your arms, really retracting your shoulders into a cobra, and then going back to square one again where your wrists are neutral, and then flexing your elbows again. So you're going to extend, cobra, back down. So just do 10 to 15 reps of these ones with an RPE, rate of perceived exertion, of 4 to 6. So you really want a light workout in this session, but really just focusing on good movements. What I see a lot of people doing this exercise is they'll bend their knees. So try and keep your knees straight so that you've got a little bit of glute activation and your trunk is nice and stable. So now we're going to do a lat pull down, which is going to be utilising your biceps. And for this one, you can start with a loop, or you can use a lat pull down machine at the gym. But to really start the exercise correctly, you want to keep your shoulders depressed. When you pull, you can start off by keeping your elbows tucked in. That can later be progressed at a 45-degree angle with your chest out, because then you're going to be using more of your lats than your biceps. But to begin with, you can pull, keep your elbows tucked in, keep your chest up, hips forward, and then slowly come back down. The key to this workout is really to follow each step. So really make sure that you foam roll first, all those areas, you static stretch, then you activate the areas that you're going to be using in the sort of compound, more full body movements that you do at the end. And so keep doing that once or twice a week, every week for 3 weeks, and then give yourself a little bit of a rest. These exercises can always be a warm-up later on down the line, or they can be used as a warm-up before you do a more intense training session. But I would really focus on this as a sort of mobility, flexibility, and sort of stabilization work to really get your joints stable and feeling a lot stronger and healthier. So I hope you found this useful. If you have any questions whatsoever, just give me a shout on Instagram or on my website at www.bodybuildingfitness.com, or email me, and I'll be more than happy to help you with any kind of questions you may have. And stay strong, stay safe, keep skating, and enjoy.